Good morning, UUMAN. My name is Denise Wilson, and I'm a member of this congregation. And on behalf of our worship leader today, Roland Mathis, our Reverend Dave Dunn, our Director of Religious Exploration, Lexi Brown, Music Director, Alex Peach, my fellow worship associates, and our dedicated technical team making today's live stream possible, it's my great pleasure to welcome all of you to Unitarian Universalist Metro Atlanta North Congregation, which we affectionately call UUMAN. We would like to acknowledge that the land upon which this congregation is situated is the former home of the Muskogee and Cherokee nations and those who've gone before them. No matter who you are, whom you love, or where you are on your spiritual journey, you are welcome here. And we love visitors. If there are any of you visiting with us for the first time and feel comfortable doing so, we invite you to stand up or identify yourself and tell us your name so that we can welcome you. Are there any first-time visitors on my left? Hi. Hi. Welcome, Steve and Linnell. Any visitors on my right? Welcome, everyone. Yes, hi. Could you just announce that we're going to do a building next door? Anybody wants the kids to come right now? Yes, okay, great. Which brings me to the announcements. Shelley has just shared that there is playgroup happening right now in the building next door for any young ones, or really anyone who wants to participate. Okay, thank you. Not you, though. You have to stay. Okay. We have a couple of other announcements from the RE team. All second-hour religious exploration classes for children and youth will meet after the service at 11:15 in Discovery Hall, which is the building right over there. To sign your kids up for children and youth RE, there is a QR code on the bulletin board in the fellowship hall. Also, I've been asked to let you know that our fidget corner has been moved to, it was right there. Is it right? It's right there in the front. Okay. It's different than what I was told. Okay. Anyway, now we all know where the fidget corner is. We do have a number of second-hour adult offerings which are listed in your printed program along with their location. Let's see. We have okay, this year you can make a direct difference in the life of an undocumented student in Atlanta. Freedom University is a college prep freedom school for undocumented students in Georgia, and they would like your help providing transportation, instruction, and fundraising assistance. Volunteer drivers are needed for Saturday in-person classes that take place from 11 to 3. These are tremendously fulfilling and highly needed volunteer roles. Please contact Reverend Dave if you're interested in participating. Okay, and now let us greet one another in the hand of friendship. Our call to worship this morning is called Being Human Means We Are of This Earth and is written by Sweet Home Teacup. May we recognize and abandon the familiar attitudes and practices that do not serve the whole. We are who we are, and we have the opportunity to be who we want to be, to create a new inheritance for the future. May our thoughts, words, and actions in our daily lives assist in dismantling paradigms of oppression and suffering. May we give thanks for our individual place in time and space, to our families and our relationships that touch and change us. May we give thanks to the wise teachers who help us remember how to be and the chance to make it so. Underneath and within these stories and histories is our humanity. Being human means we are of this earth. We are these waters. We are fire and atmosphere. We are the sun and the moon and the stars. We are all that we see, and the wisdom is revealed by looking in between. And now let us light our chalice together. If you would please join me using the words found in your bulletin. We are a people of memory. As inheritors of our ancestors' legacy, we hold their stories tenderly, gleaning wisdom from diverse journeys, united in hope for the future. Guide us to trust in love as we kindle this flame together.
Hi, I'm Roland Mathis, a member of this congregation. Today's ancestral reading is from the Hebrew Scriptures, Book of Micah, chapter 6, verses 6 through 8. With what shall I come before the Lord and bow myself before God on high? Shall I come before God with burnt offerings, with calves a year old? Will the Lord be pleased with thousands of rams, with 10,000s of rivers of oil? Shall I give my firstborn for my transgression, the fruit of my body for the sin of my soul? God has told you, O mortal, what is good, and what does the Lord require of you, but to do justice and to love kindness and to walk humbly with your God. This ends the reading of the ancient words inspired by the ancient and still ongoing search for truth and meaning.
Our first hymn this morning is found in your softback hymn book, number 1031. Alex will give us a complete playthrough first, and then we'll join in singing. Please stand and sing as you're willing and able. Our second reading this morning is The Orchard by Mary Oliver. I have dreamed of accomplishment. I have fed ambition. I have traded nights of sleep for a length of work. Lo, and I have discovered how soft bloom turns to green fruit, which turns to sweet fruit. Lo, and I have discovered all winds blow cold at last, and the leaves, so pretty, so many, vanish in the great black packet of time, in the great black packet of ambition, and the ripeness of the apple is its downfall. At this point in our service, we share our joys with each other to magnify them and our sorrows to divide the weight of their pain. If you are so moved, please feel free to come forward and drop a pebble into the bowl and express a joy or a sorrow that you may have using the floor microphone. And if you're joining us via our live stream this morning, please type your joy or sorrow into the chat.
My name is Tanya. It's good to be here this morning. I think my husband set this up. He said, you need to go because people are going to want to update. I think he sent me because he knew I needed the hugs. He's smart like that. For those that may not know, he's been diagnosed with advanced lung cancer. And I'd set up a caring bridge. I put it on the Facebook page so everybody can follow, because we're just beginning the journey. He's having his port placed tomorrow, and we meet with the oncologist on Tuesday, and hopefully everything will move very quickly from there on out. It's already difficult. But you know, I had visitors yesterday. Donna and Laurie came to see me, and so they gave me the opportunity, because I hadn't cried yet. So I was able to have some release. And, you know, as Donna and I were talking, you know, I've always been a believer of destiny and fate. And Jim and I have been here now. I don't remember what year it was that Cynthia came. So we're somewhere around 8 years, I guess, that we came. And I think we came because this was the journey ahead of us. And we needed the community. And for all of you that have already reached out, you know, God bless you. You know, it's just, we're going to need you to love us and carry us through this. Thank you.
I'm Doug Wilson, and I'd like to ask for your prayers and thoughts and good feelings for Graham Mulling, 3-year-old child across the street. Really severe, aggressive hip cancer has now metastasized to his lungs, and he's undergoing a really grueling round of chemo for many, many weeks to come.
I'm Michelle, and after sadness, I almost feel guilty in sharing a joy that Mike and I are leaving for the Canadian Rockies with our camper tomorrow for over 5 weeks. We'll return October 1st, and I'm looking forward to it. And I know this is not the appropriate time to share this, but I'm involved with the Social Justice Committee here in promoting Atlanta Pride, which happens October 15th. And the reason Paul Teal has been contracted with balloons, and he's going to do a giant chalice. And we're trying to make it as environmentally, we've requested compostable balloons, but we're going to decorate John Wheeler's trailer on the 14th, which is right back here. And what we need from you right now is to order a Standing with Love t-shirt from the UUA, because we're going to be the flame coming out of this chalice on, as we parade down Peachtree. Anyway.
Hello, good morning. I'm Bruce Langston. I've been a member here since 1996. Many of you who know me well know I have 8 sisters. I had 2 brothers, one survives. My sister Blake apparently suffered a stroke yesterday. Initial reports from her husband were that it was quite severe. Secondary reports from her son were that perhaps it was not so severe, but it was only yesterday, and we'll find out more. But this is for Blake Patricia.
I'm Dwana, a member of this church, and I want to say a word of gratitude for the Caring Bridge. It's really an extraordinary way to build a site and connections, to provide information, receive support. A lot of times when something hard hits, people don't want to get too in your face. They don't want to stay too far away, and they don't know how. And this is a really powerful offering, and I'm so glad that that's a part of a way we can stay connected without exhausting you, but not leaving you. You know, it really, please do sign up for that. Yeah.
I have a joy. It's more of a gratitude for hopefulness. Many of you already know that I do pollinator conservation, education, and outreach, and this past weekend was the Great Southeast Pollinator Census, and I participated at an event which it filled me with joy. There were so many people celebrating pollinators, counting pollinators, wanting to learn more about conserving pollinators, and all ages were present, and I know this happened both Friday and Saturday throughout the Southeast, and I just think it's hopeful, protecting the life that sustains us. And now I'll drop one final pebble for all those joys and sorrows still too tender to escape our hearts. Let us keep one another in our thoughts for the coming week. In an effort to fulfill and further the vision and mission of this congregation, we ask our members and friends to share of their time, treasure, and talents. With this, we will now receive the offering. You may also give using the Givelify app.
Thank you, Alex, for all that calming music, which I very much need before I speak in public. Anyhow, welcome everyone. It's Sunday morning story time, which is brought to you by Second Hour Programming. And have we got some great deals for y'all starting this fall? You're going to love the prices. Alex, cue the advertising jingle, please.
Meow, 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 meow.
Yep, yeah. You have to have an advertising jingle when you're selling something to make sure everybody's properly brain dead, so they're highly suggestible. So we picked that one. Anyhow, what I want to do is very briefly talk about the second hour programming, our adult classes 11, 15. Those aren't the only classes we've got. We've some that meet like online at other times of the week. I'm going to confine myself to that, give you a very broad overview, and then I want to spend the rest of the time talking about a new offering that we've got coming up starting next month. Well, actually, you're going to get a free sample today. All right, generally speaking, 11:15, our adult classes, we have two types. We have study groups, generally around social justice, earth ministry, UU thought and history, that sort of thing. And these are like 4 or 5 weeks, might be a book study, might not need a book. But then in addition, we have fine arts programming, and that's where we're going to be adding something. And these are ongoing groups that meet once a month. We've got Music Share on 4th Sundays, needle crafts, 3rd Sundays, that would be today, I think. 2 things we'll be offering on 2nd Sundays, Poetry Forum and Spiritual Cinema. And then the new one, which I'm going to talk about today, is narrative literature, the great stories. Okay, and that will be me plus some other people. And the format for that, there won't be any homework or reading ahead of time. It'll just be the ancient art of storytelling, the way cultures share their values and transmit their values generation to generation and build a sort of a bonding identity. And it'll be like campfire style, you know, the facilitator, whoever it might be, tell a story, just tell a story. You know, not read it, you know, maybe throw in a few little things of their own. It's a creative process, 10 or 15 minutes, and then discuss the story, you know, how it impacted on the people in the group in that class. So today you'll have a chance to see what that's like. I'm going to share a story. And then during service reflection, if you like, we can talk about it or other parts of the service, whichever you like, okay? Now, the story that I'm going to share with you today is Parsifal and the Search for the Holy Grail. Now, there are a lot of versions of this story. You may have heard a version different from the one I'm going to tell you, okay, because I'm going to use the one from Wolfram von Eschenbach, a medieval poet, German poet, and I'm going to sprinkle in a few other things. There's also Richard Wagner operatic version, which is quite different from the medieval epic. There are British versions where Parsifal was Percival of A Knight of the Round Table. Who can forget the Monty Python version? Monty Python and the Holy Grail, there you go. Yeah, great literature, very inspiring. Robin Williams even did a movie based on this called The Fisher King. You know, so there have just been all kind of versions of this story. So the one you're going to get from me is I'm going to do the Wolfram von Eschenbach version and sprinkle in a few other things. And you're going to realize how much material George Lucas got from this story for Star Wars. I mean, it reminds me of that great quote by T.S. Eliot where he said, minor poets borrow and major poets steal. Okay, it's good material, go for it. Anyhow, we're going to start this story where Parsifal, this is way back in the Middle Ages, the King Arthur times, all that kind of stuff. Parsifal is a teenager, he's like 18 years old, and he's living on a farm with his mother, Herzeleida, which is German for suffering heart. And it's just the two of them, and they're not serfs, they're free commoners, it's their farm. And Herzeleida has never told Parsifal who his father is. He never knew his father because his father was actually a great knight and a great warrior who went over on the Crusades to Palestine and never came back. And Herzeleida does not want Parsifal to know who his father is. All right, sound like Darth Vader? Okay, anyhow, yeah, because he does not want Parsifal to be a knight. Wants Parsifal to live on the farm, have a quiet, safe life. And, with an 18-year-old, you know where that's headed, right? Parsifal wants to get out of there. He wants to see the world. So he's out in the garden one day, and along come these 3 knights, armor, bristling with weapons on their mighty steeds. And so if we could... Okay, here come the 3 knights, anyhow. And one of them says to Parsifal, he says, "Boy, fetch me some water." Parsifal, being an appropriately surly teenager, developing his own independent identity, says, "Get the water yourself. I'm a free commoner. I'm not a serf. You can't boss me around." And so the chief knight says, "What we have here is a failure to communicate." No, well, not really, but yeah, says, "Well, boy, we're going to teach you a lesson." And so the 3 of them get off the horses, and they're marching toward Parsifal, and he picks up a big stick, and he just, whacks the stew out of all 3 of them. and like the force is strong with this one. He's really, really good, okay? He's good at this kind of thing. So then Chief Knight sits up and he says, boy, would you like a job? Uncle Arthur wants you. No, it's, it said, we'll bring you to Camelot and train you to be a great knight. You obviously have a lot of potential. And he's all excited, and he goes tell his mama, and Herzlite is, of course, heartbroken at this point. She does not want this to happen, but she knows she can't stop him. So he goes off to Camelot and goes through all the training to be a page and then a squire, or maybe it's the other way around, a page, squire, and then a knight. He is a great knight, and depending on which version of this story you read, if it's a German version, Parsifal is the greatest. If the French version, Lancelot is the greatest. In the British version, I don't know who's the greatest. But like I say, there's so many versions of this story. But anyhow, he becomes a great knight, and then he goes out on his knight errantry, and that's where knights kind of patrol around, according to the legends, and they, so he's riding around. Yep, here comes Parsifal riding through the countryside. He's saving damsels in distress locked in high towers by evil wizards, chasing off dragons that are burning farm fields. All the usual stuff that knights do. Okay, and meanwhile, during all of this, he is searching for the Holy Grail. And there are a lot of versions of this too. In some stories it's a stone, in some stories it's like the chalice at Jesus at the Last Supper, that kind of thing. So anyhow, but he's also a smart guy. So he asks questions, he investigates. He comes up to the bridge with the troll underneath that says, to pass, you must answer 3 questions. What is your favorite color? No, that's another, sorry, that's the Monty Python version. Anyhow, so he ends up finding the Fisher King, the Grail King. Okay, he finds this guy, okay, with the Holy Grail. And he goes in there and he presents himself and he says, I am the great Parsifal. I have learned everything my culture has taught me a man should do. I am a mighty warrior. And the Fisher King says, you're a punk, get out of here. What? But I've done everything I'm supposed to do. You're unworthy of the Grail, get lost. And then the castle disappears. And Parsifal is sitting there. What just happened? And he has this crisis. Have all the values I've been taught, are they wrong? The Fisher King told me they're wrong. And so he's plodding along, and he just having this huge crisis. He doesn't know what to think. And another thing that the knights errant like to do is when they meet up with each other, they have great fun by knocking each other off their horses, jousting, kind of keep their skills up. So anyhow, and he always beats everybody he comes across. Well, as he's going along, he runs into this knight dressed in red armor, and they joust, and this guy beats him. And he says, well, who are you? How can you, I'm the best of the best, how can you beat me? So they take their helmets off and chat for a while, and this knight that defeated him has dark skin. And Parsifal says, I've never seen anybody like you. Who are you? And he says, well, I was born in Palestine. I'm the son of a knight from the Crusades, a Christian knight who came over and took up with a Muslim woman in Palestine. I am their son. You can see where this is headed. And then they get to talking, and Parsifal realizes this is his brother. Okay, this is his half-brother. And so Parsifal is really having a crisis now. The Fisher King tells me I'm a punk. Okay, my Palestinian enemy is actually my brother. What in the world am I going to do with this? And he's having to kind of rethink all of his values. So anyhow, he goes clopping along some more. And he comes across a cave with a hermit in there who looks very poor with his stew pot and all that kind of stuff. Ah, you seek Yoda. No, wait a minute, that's another version. Okay, anyhow, the guy invites him in, and Parsifal talks to him, and he says, well, what are you doing? And the hermit says, well, I'm doing penance. I'm trying to learn humility, because I was a great knight, a great lord, and I hurt a lot of people, and I'm now doing penance for that. And Parsifal stays with him for about 2 weeks in the cave, and they talk about all of this kind of stuff. And Parsifal finally is trying to put things together in terms of how he's supposed to live. So he wanders back to the castle of the Fisher King, okay? And the Fisher King has a wound in his side that will not heal. You know, kind of like Frodo, end of Lord of the Rings, you know, and you know, obvious symbolism there. And anyhow, he comes to the Fisher King, and this time, when he meets him this time, he says what is one of the most famous lines in all of German literature. Drum roll, please. Okay. And he says to the Fisher King, "Mein Herr, was fehlt Ihnen?" My Lord, what ails you? And the Fisher King says, "Parsifal, you are now worthy, because your first thought was not of your own pride. It was for the suffering of the person in front of you. You now have found the Holy Grail. It is simple compassion."
Now, using your softback hymnal, please turn to number 1018. And Alex will give us a complete playthrough first, and then we will join in singing. Stand and sing as you're willing and able. Would you please join me as we extinguish the chalice together using the words found in your program? We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. And now may the blessings of life be upon us and upon this congregation. May the memories we gather here give us hope for the future. May the love that we share bring strength and joy to our hearts, and the peace of this community be with us until we meet again. Go in peace and enjoy your week.